some new faces. Just like to do a couple shout outs. Carol and I have been doing this for a number of years, and we thought we'd just kind of like to share it with the family and let you know everything we found out about the Litke's. Mike, thank you so much for helping me with this presentation. Thanks for putting up with me going on genealogy trips. Appreciate it. Mom, we want to say thanks to our mom. She's footed the bill for many genealogy trips for us, many adventures. So thanks, Mom. Fred and Betty aren't here, but they've taken us around Flagstaff County to a bunch of cemeteries, introduced us to people who have shared their information with us as well. Glenn, you took us to Louis and Louise's property one year, showed us where their farm was, so thank you. And Sally, you also do a lot of work with this, and you went up to Canada and got to meet some people up there and shared your stories with us. And just all of you have shared your stories with us, and we appreciate that so much. So here we go. We put together a little slideshow. And I thought this was interesting. Litke, the surname Litke means people or tribe. And what a tribe we are. No, you can't, no, that's not a very good picture, but this is Louis. Do you know where this picture came from?
I don't, but I think it's the earliest picture that we have of Louis. And you can't really tell from that picture, but he wasn't a bad looking fellow.
No, yeah. Some of you knew him as Grandpa. And Louis was born November 26, 1875 in the village of Mariendorf in the state of Bohemia. And at that time it was part of Russia. His father's name was Ludwig Litke, and his mother's name was Eva Tom. He was their sixth child, and this is his baptismal certificate here. He was baptized on November 30th of 1875. Okay. This is where Bohemia is located. It's in part of present-day Ukraine. It's located in the northwest region, and it borders Belarus on the north and Poland in the west. I thought this was interesting that you found. Do you want to read that? From Catherine the Great.
When Catherine the Great assumed the throne of Russia after the death of her husband, she issued an invitation for foreigners to come and settle in her new empire. I believe that she was a German princess, and she offered incentives like free land and freedom of religion and tax exemption, interest-free loans, exemption from military service, and freedom to return to the land of their origin at any time. In the late 19th century, conditions for the Bohemian Germans became progressively worse as they lost more and more of these freedoms and privileges that they had been granted, and then thousands immigrated to North America.
And our Litke's were one of them.
Yes.
So, this next slide is the immigration record I found. Now, this is not perfect, but some of it is and some of it isn't. If you notice where it says Eva Litke, one more, there you go. The next one says Frederick. Now, and this person is 19. Now, this would be Louis's age. And then the next person is Pauline, which was his sister, and she was 15, and that age matches. And then the next person it lists says Ludwig, but this is really Emil Tim, we believe, because that was what his age was. And then we have Amelia, who was actually Augusta Tim. Now they're all under the Litke name. I don't know if just because they came with Eva, they all just took on that name. But they're all listed under the Litke name. The next one is Ernest Tim. That's her son. Ernestine Tim, that's her daughter. and Al Bean Tim, and that's her other daughter. And that's all the children they had at that time. The rest were born in Illinois. The next person listed is Juliana Litke, and she was actually Emil's wife. And then their son Emil, who was a year old at that time. So all that matches. The only things that don't match is Lewis's name. I don't know if there was a language barrier thing, they couldn't understand what they said, or if they gave a fake name for some reason, or I don't know. But for some reason, two of those names don't match what they should, but everything else does. So this is from the Canadian passenger lists, and this is the Quebec port. And this arrival date is August 10th, 1895. They sailed from Liverpool, England, on the the SS Sardinia. And this coincides with, this date coincides with an article that I found in a newspaper in Bloomington, Illinois, which is McLean County, that said Mr. August Tim, a well-to-do German farmer, northwest of Fairbury, was made happy on Monday by the arrival of his wife and 5 children from the old country. Their arrival on Monday was a surprise, as he was not expecting them until October. And this is dated August 30th, 1895. So that's why I think this is the correct immigration record. And we have a picture of the ship. Can you guys hear me okay? It's just going in and out. This is the SS Sardinian, name of the ship that they came over on. This picture, I think, is taken in about 1890, so about 5 years before they came over on it. The normal route was Liverpool to Quebec to Montreal. Thank you.
Now, what's happening is it's coming to both rounds. That lady's trying to stop it from going to that other round.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think this one's working well.
How is your sound? They're off too.
Can you just speak without the microphone?
No, I wouldn't get it. So, question while we're waiting.
Yes.
They sailed from Liverpool. What was before them? Was the connection to get to Liverpool?
I don't know how they got to Liverpool. They must have traveled by land somehow. I don't know. That's a good question. I'll get it.
And then they went to Bloomington, Illinois. Was the German farmer that they talked about, was that a sponsor?
That was Augusta Litke, Amelia. That was her husband.
She was already married.
Yeah, she was already married, and
He had come ahead,
he had come ahead of her.
and she came and brought the kids.
Yes.
Okay.
Did they fix it?
Yep. They did.
Awesome. Okay.
I hear you better now.
Okay, we got it over here.
Okay. Oh, I was talking about the ship. So it was in service from July 29th, 1875, and it went out of service in 1913. It was a passenger and cargo ship. It took 120 first-class passengers and 850 third-class passengers.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
So here we are in 1900. This is McLean County, Illinois. And you can see the last name there is Louis Litke, and he's living with Ernest Tim, which was August Tim's brother. August Tim was married to Lewis's sister.
Really? That's right. Yes, okay, I'm confused. Who did Edward marry?
And Lena is short for Julie. Lena is short for what? Mrs.
Oh, Ernest's wife's name?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Wasn't she a Licky?
No, this is not, this is, Lewis's brother-in-law's brother,
Okay.
so they weren't directly
Yeah.
related. But
Can you
as
speak up?
But as you can see, Lewis is not yet a naturalized citizen. He's still listed as an alien. You'll see him, there you go. And it does confirm that he was immigrated in 1895, which was the year of that immigration record that we found as well. And it says he was born in Prussia, and both parents were born in Germany.
That's what the census
Oh,
says.
okay, okay.
Okay, this is Lewis's naturalization record. Now, this is a big, long document, but I took a picture of this part because this is where it lists
I got that.
the date, the county of Livingston, Illinois, and where it says he renounced his allegiance to the Tsar of Russia. So this was in 1901, I believe, April 27th, 1901 is when he became a U.S. citizen. 1904?
Yeah,
I think the declaration is 1901, and then it became.
yeah.
Yes, I was looking up here, I'm sorry, it's 1904. That's correct. My fault. Okay. All right, now, there's been a couple of surprises we found during this research, and this next slide is one of them. One of the databases that I look at is there's a newspaper, there's a website that lists a bunch of newspapers from all different states, and if you're lucky, the newspaper you want is included in the database. And
Right.
it just so happens that McLean County is covered in the years that our people were there. So I'm plugging the name into this database, into this newspaper database, and this record came up. I'll let you look at that for a second. It says, Ludwig Litke of Fairbury has asked for a divorce from his wife Edith Litke
Dun, dun, dun.
on the grounds of desertion. The bill states that he was married to Edith Essler, July 5th, 1904, and they lived together until December 13th, 1904, when Mrs. Litke willfully deserted him.
Huh.
And so I stared at this and I was like, am I really seeing this? And I thought, well, I needed to investigate this further, so I found the marriage record, and sure enough, it's our Lewis, because it lists his parents' name on the marriage record.
His parents' name?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
On the
Who was his
license
parents?
on the
application.
license, when they fill out their marriage license application, it lists their parents' name, so that's how I knew it was our Lewis. So he was married before.
Okay.
And so I found the marriage record, and I found we found the divorce record, so, yeah.
We were glad we found a divorce record because Denise had called the courthouse and they said they didn't have it on file. And so we thought, oh no, but we found the name spelled so many different ways. We actually went to the courthouse and they let us look it up and we found it ourselves. So we were actually glad that they actually did get the name.
There's a divorce record. And there was a article in this newspaper as well that said about their marriage, that said Reverend Edwin Durand united in marriage in the, I couldn't make out that word, parsonage maybe, of the Church of Peace Tuesday evening, Mr. Ludwig Litke and Mrs. Edith Durflin. Both have many friends in this city. And this was dated July 8, 1904.
No children.
No children.
No children.
No children.
She didn't stick around long enough.
And she had been married quite a few times, we found. So.
This was her third marriage.
Yes.
Oh, so she's had a broken picker.
So, We're not sure why Lewis came to Pulaski County from, since they were all in Illinois, but I did find something in the paper that said that maybe was a clue. This was 1907, March 8th, where it said Adolph Balco, who was also married to Lewis's other sister, departed Saturday for Francisville, Indiana, to look after the land. So evidently, he owned land in Francisville, and perhaps that was the reason why Lewis came to Francisville. Maybe he lived on Adolph's land and looked after it for him, so.
They swear to good apples too.
Okay, slide me here. Okay. So that is where he met Louise, as she lived in Francisville. And they married, and this is their marriage license. Yes. I apologize, this isn't the best copy, but. And this was February 1908, I believe.
Yep, I see it. February 1908.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, there we go.
Yep.
Okay, and this, we believe, is their wedding photo. Or maybe perhaps an engagement
Yep.
photo. Okay. Next surprise. Lewis and Louise had a baby that did not live. So they actually had 4 sons. This was Lester Daniel Litke, and it says,
Is it Lester or
not
Wesley?
sufficient developed to live, the fetus was between 6 and 7 months, lived about half an hour after birth. And this was April 4th, 1910. So that was a surprise, I had never heard that. Maybe they didn't share that. So the next slide here is the 1910 census. As you can see, they're living in Pulaski County, Indiana. And this was dated April 26, 1910, which would just been about 3 weeks after the birth and death of Lester Daniel Litke. But as you can see, they have, there's Lewis and Louise and Ted. Ted was already born. And this says a brother Donald. We believe this is actually his nephew Daniel, Carl's son, because he did live with Lewis and Louise for a brief period there, and that would have been his age.
I don't think he came into 1911.
And I did find some articles in the paper that were so interesting. I just wanted to share a few with you because it just brought them to life for me. I never met Lewis, so. This was dated September 2nd, 1909 in Francisville. Mr. and Mrs. Herman Balco of Fairbury, Illinois had been visiting Mr. and Mrs. Lewis Litka southwest of town for several days. This is from 1910. Mr. and Mrs. Louis Litka entertained a number of friends at dinner Sunday at their country home south of town. An enjoyable afternoon was spent in games and other amusements. Those present were Mr. and Mrs. Mike Smith, that was Louise's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Lowell Hahn, that was Louise's sister and brother-in-law, Mrs. Anna and Edna Smith, those were Louise's sisters, Amelia Litke, Dan and Theodore Litke. So Dan and Amelia were Carl's, Lewis's brother.